Hello, you guys, and welcome back to The Priestess Perspective. It is me, Hot High Priestess, and man, it has been a minute since we've done an episode. I feel like I say that every time, but you guys know how I operate. I operate based on vibes, based on flow, and that is how we do it around here. This might be the most requested video, the most requested podcast episode that we have ever had, and it is about how I lost over 20 pounds. I think I lost in total, I want to say like 26 some pounds on my weight loss journey. The bulk of which happened very quickly. Like it happened in spurts when I really focused on the things that I'm going to be talking about in today's episode. I'm definitely so excited to jump into today's episode. And I'm also going to kind of tell you guys a little bit about, obviously, this was both a mental mindset, spiritual, energetic, but also very practical journey. So I'm going to be touching on all of that in today's video. I don't have a plan for the video, so it's going to be what comes to mind. And I will preface by saying this video, trigger warning, obviously, if you have any sort of disordered eating thoughts, anything of that nature, definitely do not watch this video because I'm going to get very, very real here. And so I want to get very real, and I am going to be completely honest. I want to preface by saying in this episode, I'm going to be 100% honest because this is really going to be an episode for my past self, like what I almost wish she would have heard from me today, and that would have absolutely sped up the journey. And so I am going to be honest. I may say things that might hurt, that may help, the wide variety of things that comes with this journey. So we're just going to dive in. I'm going to start by saying that if I'm being completely and 100% honest, I am so much happier in this current body than I ever was in the body that I used to house. And I think it is for many, many, many reasons. And that doesn't mean that I could not find happiness in that body. I knew every day waking up in that body that it was not the body that I was meant to live in, if that makes sense. And I was in a very difficult headspace in that body. I think that body was just almost a manifestation of the internalized thoughts and issues that I had in life. It was not even a physical issue. It was more like my body was like a physical manifestation of so much internalized issues that I had to deal with to get to where I am today. It was a manifestation of control issues I had. Absolutely. I was so hyper in my masculine when I was in that body. And I now realize that the control issues I had around eating and wanting to control everything, wanting to control my body constantly, like this desire for control, but not being able to control fully my body seemingly, was one of the greatest mental battles that I had in this journey. And if you've been on the journey of weight loss, it is a mental battle. It is truly a war with yourself, with your mind, with your spirit. It is, I have to say, one of the hardest things that I have ever gone through. And I've been through some shit, y'all. I have gone through things. I have been, in situations, and to get to the point that I'm at now, it took so much mental work and so much changing who I fundamentally was to get to where I am. And I want to say that it was both a very simple yet very complicated journey. So we're going to dive into all of it. Where was my headspace at when I first started this journey? When I first started the journey, I would say the height of my weight gain was when I was abroad in Singapore. I probably gained weight for multiple reasons. I think the biggest reason was I was excessively drinking alcohol every weekend. Oh God, it wasn't every weekend. It was way more than that. I was, granted, I was studying abroad. I was in college. Like, it is what it is. I was drinking a lot, and I was also drinking because of trying to overcome social anxiety. So there was already one large problem that I was using alcohol, food, things like that to ease a mental issue that was on the surface. Okay, so we're starting there. And you're going to notice there's a lot of that in today's episode. But yeah, so I was excessively drinking alcohol. Definitely. I was, eating out a lot, maybe not eating the healthiest because obviously I was studying abroad and I was like, I'm only in Singapore. living abroad, one time. So F it, which again, scarcity mindset. I think so often when we're commuting and traveling and going out on vacation or going to nice restaurants, we have this mindset of, well, I'll never be back at this restaurant, so I have to finish all of the food on the table, or I'll never be back in Mexico, so I'm going to get as much food at this all-inclusive that I can get. And it's like that mindset is what put me into the body that I was in, 26 pounds heavier. It was going to Cancun to the all-inclusive and being like, shit, we spent so much money here, like let's get our money's worth. It was, being abroad and being like, when's the next time I'll ever be in Vietnam or be in Bali? The food is so cheap here, let's ball out. It was this inconsistency and this scarcity mindset around food, which I talked about in my previous podcast episode regarding weight, where I noticed that a lot of the people I met, including myself, struggled with weight gain due to a scarcity mindset around food, especially if you grew up in poverty, or you grew up poor, or you grew up broke, or you are broke. Being someone who used to struggle with that, I, growing up, obviously could not afford to go to nice restaurants. I could not afford to travel. So when I finally had the opportunity to do so, guess what happened? I balled the hell out. I went all out, and I had this extreme scarcity mindset around food. So whenever I'd go to a nice restaurant, I would always box the food up and take it home, or I would make sure to finish everything on my plate, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas I had to completely undo that scarcity mindset around food. And instead, what I did was I actually made a rule with myself that if I felt full, I would stop eating, period. And even if I spent a lot of money on the food, even if I was out at a nice restaurant, I wouldn't take the food back home with me. I wouldn't force myself to finish what was on my plate. The second I felt full, even if that was 3 bites in, I would stop eating. And guess what? Guess how fast I got my dream body after I started doing that? Because I realized that I was in the place that I was in because of excessive eating. So one of the easiest ways to reduce excessive eating was by reducing my scarcity mindset around food. And the mindset that I developed instead was, this food will be around always. I can always come back to this restaurant and eat this food. I can always come back to Vietnam and eat this food. I can always come back here, come back there. It will always be here. And I do not live in a scarcity mindset. I don't live in a world where there is scarcity, where things, are a once upon a time situation. I will give myself the life, and I have given myself the life, where I make sure that I can provide that for myself. So the first step to getting my dream body was, in fact, getting rid of my scarcity mindset around food and coming up with that rule for myself, where the second I would feel full, I would stop eating. I wouldn't box food up and bring it home, because that's scarcity mindset. That's, you're acting upon a scarcity mindset. You can say it's wasteful, but it's also wasteful if it's going into your body and gaining you excess fat that you have to then lose in the future. You know what I mean? So there's that. And I stopped feeling guilty, like wasting money on food, like not finishing the full portion of what I was ordering. Or you could also, in a lot of restaurants, ask to order the half portion of like a pasta or whatever. So you can start doing that. And you'll actually notice from this story that I'm going to tell you in today's episode that the majority of the weight that I lost was on the 2 summer European trips that I took. And it wasn't necessarily the food that I was eating. Like, I eat very similar foods abroad as I do here. Obviously, the food is healthier in Europe. That's a given, but it was also like the portion sizes are significantly smaller in Europe. Like, you have to understand that the portion sizes in America are astronomically huge. And as a tiny 5-foot girl, I should not be eating that entire portion, especially when, like, I forgot what it felt like to feel full. Like, I was overeating to the point where I forgot what the feeling of feeling full felt like, Step number 2 was I cut alcohol out. I mean, I lost a good portion of my weight the second I decided to practically go sober. Now, I'm not like 100% sober, but like I basically am. I rarely drink. And if I do, I don't get like drunk. I like drink a little bit, have a little wine, have a little this, have a little that, but I'm definitely not out here binge drinking every weekend. I'll maybe have a drink every 2 months. And obviously that, alcohol is just completely useless excess calories. It's also so bad for your body. So reducing alcohol was one of the best things that I ever did. And I'm going to jump into the meat of like truly on a very practical level, what I did to get to where I am, and then follow it up with the mindset that I had to have to get to that point. Because here's the tea. I have PCOS, I have PMDD, I have obesity running in my family, I have low and high and all the blood sugars running in my family. It is not in my family DNA to have the body that I have. And if you look at the issues that my family currently deals with, you're literally going to be like, how does she have that body? And I'll tell you how. It's because I literally one day woke up and said, I literally don't even care what, cards were handed to me. I am in control of my reality. The cards that were dealt to me have always been not the best. And yet I've always made it out the other side, both in the college I went to and the career that I ended up having. I have never let the cards that were handed to me determine my reality. And so it was interesting because it was so easy to do that seemingly, comparatively at least, in my career and in other aspects of life. But I really struggled to do that in weight, because weight is such a personal manifestation. It's such a direct reflection of your, belief system. And it's all the things. I'm going to just spill some facts and get your notebooks out, because if you're on a weight loss journey, I'm about to spill like the fucking formula to lose weight. All right. Number 1, 10K steps every day. Non-negotiable. Okay. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's hot. I don't care if it's a bad day, a good day. On average, every day you should be getting 10,000 steps if you are on a weight loss journey. And I'm no longer on a weight loss journey, but I have instilled into me this 10K step a day journey so heavily, and it has benefited me so much in my life, in every aspect of my life, that I do it willingly, happily every day without even thinking. And so that's actually the hack, is you're going to have to walk 10,000 steps a day. I'm no gym, no Pilates, none of that. 10,000 steps a day, period. Take your phone, take your health app out now, and look at what your average step count is. And I can guarantee you it's probably not 10K for the last 3 months. And if it was, you would have started shedding some weight. And that's the tea, is I knew that was what I had to do. And the second I committed to it is the second I started to see the weight, shed off or melt off my body. The problem wasn't that I had, either knew or didn't know what I had to do. The problem was I couldn't commit, and I couldn't believe that it would happen to me. So the main, barrier to the weight loss for me was I did not believe it was possible to me. I didn't believe it was possible because I had family members who were on Ozempic or struggling to lose weight and this and that and the other. So I thought, well, if I have PCOS, if everyone in my family is struggling to lose weight, and I've tried and failed, then it's just not in the cards for me. I am meant to be in this overweight body. And the more I reiterated that, the more I gained weight. And so the first step was I had to delusionally believe, it was so delusional at the time, because trust me, I had tried and failed many times. I had to delusionally believe that I would lose the weight. I had to, one of the rituals or manifesting methods I did was with my best friend out here in LA, Lizzie. We sat down and we did this whole ass ritual where we wrote out a letter from ourselves a year later in the future, where we have the dream body. What are we doing with the dream body? How are we celebrating? And so we wrote out a letter from our future selves a year from now, where I was on the beach in Malibu and I was wearing this slinky bikini and I felt hot as fuck and I was taking pictures with her and blah, 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 blah. And guess what? A year later, that exact manifestation came true. But as I was manifesting it on paper and writing it out and, calling it into existence, I actually ended up buying a bikini and jeans in the size that I wanted to be in. So I was already acting as though it was a certainty. So I want you to ask yourself, what would you do today differently if you knew it was a certainty that you would have your dream body a year from now, 6 months from now, what have you? Would you still be buying XL jeans, or would you be buying jeans in the size that you want to be in, right? And here's the thing, like, if you love your body, I want to preface this too by saying, like, if you love your body and you are overweight, that is fantastic and that is fine. I just knew that I was not meant to be in that body. I had this deep inner knowingness that this was a transformation I was meant to go through in this lifetime. And so I committed to it, you know? And so I do want to preface by saying you don't have to be a size 0 to be happy or to be fulfilled or what have you. But if you know in your heart and in your soul that there is a body waiting for you on the other side of this journey and you're willing to go for it, then do it, babe. Anything is possible in this reality, and it doesn't have to be hard. And that's the next thing I want to jump into, is it doesn't have to be hard. Everyone on TikTok is going to tell you it's a difficult journey. It's blah, blah, blah. It's not difficult. You just have to commit. And whether you want to commit to the hard path or you want to commit to the easy path is up to you. But either way, you have to commit. And it doesn't have to be hard. That's your choice. You can make it hard if you want to, or you can make it fun by tapping into feminine energy. And this is why I teach feminine energy like night and day. By the way, all this mindset stuff that I'm going to teach you in today's episode, I go over in my Manifest Magic workshop, which you should absolutely grab. I'm going to link it down below for you. If you want to go through this mindset transformation in the next 3 days with me, sign up below and use code podcast for a promo. But anyways, so I had to tell myself that it would be easy, because you're not going to commit to something if you keep telling yourself it's hard or it's impossible or what have you. The reason you've never played the lottery or you don't frequently play the lottery is because you know your chances of winning the lottery are next to nothing. But if someone right now told you that your chances of winning the lottery with the next ticket you buy is 100%, what would you go do right now? You'd go buy the damn lottery ticket. You would do what you need to do to get to the result that you want to have. And same applies in manifesting, same applies in your weight loss journey. If you knew with certainty that you would have the dream body, you would do the steps, you would do the diet, you would do whatever you have to do. And so I want you to not necessarily work on doing the steps and doing the this and doing the that, but instead pour your energy into doing what you have to do to believe it is possible for you. Whether that's listening to my podcast and trusting that it is possible for you. I'm telling you, I lost 26 fucking pounds, most of which I lost in a single year, most of which, by the way, I lost in 2 months. And so it is possible if you do the work and you do the mindset, and it does not have to be hard. And I want you to remember my words when I say this, it does not have to be hard, and it won't be hard if you make it easy. And so how do you make it easy? Because you know you're going to have to hit 10K steps every day. Preferably more, right? There were a lot of days where I was walking significantly more than 10K steps, but on average, you need to be walking 10K steps a day. And by the way, what I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you for a fact, like, obviously I'm not a medical professional. Do not take my advice. Like, I have to say that obviously, but this is what worked for me. So I want to preface it with, this is what worked for me. So obviously results may vary, and like, go speak to a doctor, of course, but this is just my experience. 10K steps every day. Not only are you going to, after a month or two, start seeing the weight literally melt off, but you're going to feel so amazing internally, spiritually, mentally. You're going to feel clear, sharp, like everything in your life is going to elevate as a result of this activity. And so I want you to approach the 10K steps as a form of self-love. Like, this is your time to do your hot girl walk. This is your time to go walk to that bookstore that you've been wanting to go to, that you've been putting off. Yes, I want you to invest some money into your weight loss journey. What does that mean? I want you to make it fun. So for example, I told myself that if I did the 10K steps, I would treat myself to go to the bookstore and get a book, like with money. Like, yes, it costs money, but I was like, you know what? I did the 10K steps. I want to reward myself. Or I'd go to a coffee shop in, the other side of the neighborhood, and then I'd go get my matcha. And yeah, is it $9? Sure. But that was my treat and that was my reward. And so is that $9 worth the exercise I did? Abso-fucking-lutely. So you have to make it fun. What can you do to make it fun? I'll tell you what I did to make my 10K step walks not only happen every single day, but also make them fun. Now, I want to also preface by saying it may be difficult to right off the bat start hitting 10K steps. In the beginning, you might want to start with 5K, then following week work up to 6K, the following to 7, so on and so forth. You got to start somewhere, but ultimately you're going to have to hit the 10K steps at some point. And like, honestly, if I could summarize all of my journey into one thing that I did that benefited me the most, it was the steps. That's it. Not the gym, not Soul Cycle, not nothing. I didn't lose weight from any of that. I hired a personal trainer. She freaking quit on me. It was the steps. Okay. Now regarding the steps, me and my friend Lizzie committed to doing 10K steps together every day. And this was the best time of my whole day because I would wait all day to do my 10K step walk, which is approximately like an hour and a half to 2 hours, I think, with Lizzie. And we do it all in one go. And we had a little loop, a little path that we'd take every time to do this walk. And it was our yap session. We'd catch up. We'd manifest out loud. We'd say gratitude. Like, this was the best walk of the damn day. This was the happiest day, the happiest walk of my life. And you're going to notice there's certain things you can do to make your walk, not only like to romanticize it, but also like make it more enjoyable, to make the time pass faster. So for example, I literally blink and I walk 10K steps when I am on the phone with someone. When I call someone and I do a walk outside, I literally blink, have 2 conversations, and somehow I check my thing and I've already done my 10K steps. So what can you do? You're going to have to experiment, but what can you do to make those 10K steps feel effortless and in literally like no work? Like, guys, whether or not weight was on my mind, I would happily do the 10K step walk with Lizzie. I would happily do my 10K step walk on the phone with friends. I would happily do my 10K step walk to go to that bookstore and walk down the cute little streets in my neighborhood. I would gladly do that. And I only even discovered that I liked doing these things in the pursuit of the weight loss because I romanticize the journey. So you have to romanticize the journey. So think of things that you could do on your walk to make it such a pleasant experience. Now, I'm going to give you the hack for the easiest way to make it a pleasant experience, and it is going to require an investment in you. And like I said, you can put a price on you could put a price on your health, and you could put a price on your dream body. What is that price? And are you willing to pay it? Because for me, I was willing to pay anything. And not only am I paying for the body I want, but I'm also paying for the romanticized, beautiful experience that I'm going through and the beautiful journey I'm going through to get to that point. And so one of those things that made me walking 20K steps a day literally effortless, like the most joyful thing that I was doing without even thinking, was going to Europe over the summer. So I'd go on like a 2 to 4 week trip both summers to Europe. I went once to Costa Rica as well for about 2 weeks. And when you're in these places, guess what you're doing? You're walking. Okay. Have you been to Europe, babe? You're going to be walking a lot. And I'm not saying you have to go to Europe. You could go to the town that's an hour away, to the, pumpkin patch. You could go to the city that's a drive away. You could take the train to wherever. I know there's a place you could go right now that you would gladly walk 10K steps in. You wouldn't even think that you're walking, like, whether you live close to New York City, you live close to San Diego, wherever you live, I know there's a place that you would go to where there's so much you would want to see, whether it's walking on the boardwalk on the beach or walking through a new city. But for me, it was going to, Costa Rica or Europe, where it's like, you are going to be walking, like it or not, 20K steps bare minimum every day. Like, that's going to happen. It's a given. And you're not even going to realize how much you walked until you come back home and you check, your phone. So yes, the majority of my weight loss did happen in Europe, both times that I went. I think I lost about almost 10 pounds each time. And then I lost like 6 pounds sort of in between all of that. And there you go. It was literally because I was walking 20K steps every day. And even though, mind you, I was eating gelato, I was having pizza, I was having pasta, I was not starving myself by any means. I was just walking a ton, and gladly so. And so there is a way to do it where you have so much fun. What can you do to make it fun? And are you willing to invest in that experience, whether it's your time, whether it's your energy? And so I want you to take out a pen and paper and literally write out, what am I willing to invest to be able to have my dream body? Like, what would I do right now, or give up, or sacrifice? And I don't like calling it a sacrifice because it's an investment. What am I willing to invest to have my dream body? Whether it is 2 hours a day, whether it is, however many dollars on the matcha that you're going to get at the end of the walk, get the steps in. Okay. I will say another thing I did try doing was I did intermittent fast for a bit, and that actually helped me control my blood sugar levels. And so that's something that really helped me. Diet Coke and 0-calorie drinks absolutely helped me. they taste the same. So it's like, why not, for me at least. And so of course I just became conscious of what I was consuming. And before I would eat, I would thank my food. I would thank it for, providing, energy to my body. But most importantly, I just was completely aware of what I was consuming. And yes, that means, for me at least, it meant looking at the nutrition facts, looking at the calories, the macros. It did mean doing that, but it didn't mean obsessing over it. It just meant having conscious awareness of what I was putting into my body and the obvious effect that it would have on my body, because you do have to accept the facts that, like, obviously what you're consuming is what you're becoming in every sense of the phrase, both mentally and physically. And so I became aware of that. But that doesn't mean I starve myself. I end the day full as F. And one way I do that is I consume a lot of protein. So especially in the beginning of my journey, I highly prioritize protein, which is an obvious tip you're going to hear, but I'm going to reiterate it. One, it's going to make you feel extremely satiated and full if you're bulking, or the bulk of your meals are protein heavy. So whether that's Greek yogurt, protein shakes, what have you, starting your day with protein is going to transform your entire sugar cravings, hunger cravings. You will not crave food, period, if you prioritize protein, and the majority of your food that you're consuming in the day is protein. Make it enjoyable. I love making a yogurt bowl for breakfast. I love having a peanut butter and banana smoothie with, protein powder. There's so many ways to get your protein in. I also don't eat meat, so I had to be creative with how I was including my protein. But that is another tip that I definitely used, was intermittent fasting and making the first meal of my day the protein heavy meal. It also helped with my ADHD. Overall, I would say the way I got this body was by learning to love my life and learning to value myself. And everything in life is a mirror. So when you truly love and value yourself, the universe will love and value your body. And when you love yourself, you cannot, you love yourself too much to harm yourself and to put your body into a place it's not meant to be in. And I loved myself so much that I was willing to do the hard work mentally to get to this point, because it was a mental battle, because it wasn't a physical battle. I knew at all points what I had to do, and I had it in me to do them. But mentally, I wasn't willing to commit for, the limiting beliefs of it all, believing it wasn't going to happen to me. And it's crazy, because the second I started believing it was possible is when it happened. Or, the various other limiting beliefs, like, I can never have my high school body. I hear everyone say that. And it's like, yeah, my body isn't going to be the same as it was in high school, but it looks even better now, to be completely honest. And I'm much closer to that weight now than I am to the weight I'm at today, or I used to be when I was extremely overweight. So there's just a lot of limiting beliefs. So having a mental diet as well as a physical diet, but having a mental diet and watching the information you consume or the information you say out loud is so important. Because if you are saying, oh, it's never going to happen, if you are, if you step on the scale and the number goes up and you decide, I'm going to give up, this is not meant to happen, you are giving power to a number on a scale, on a digital device, to decide what you do tomorrow. That is insane. Babe, wake up. You are so powerful. The number on the scale is not going to define the body that you're going to be in a month from now. Okay. Yes, maybe the number went up, but do not let that dictate the movements you make. In fact, this is the number one difference I see between successful people and unsuccessful people in every area of life. I see business owners who are on cloud nine and posting a ton and, sending out emails and marketing so well and showing up with 100% energy in their business, but only when the sales are high. And when the sales are dipping, suddenly we're not posting anymore. Suddenly we're not enthusiastic on stories. Suddenly we're not in the DMs. We're not on cloud nine on our feeds. Right? When you give the external influences of the world and of your circumstances the power to define internally how you move, you've already lost. You need to move in accordance to what you've decided the future is. If you decided you're a millionaire, it doesn't matter if today's sales are down or tomorrow's sales are up. Regardless, you're moving as a millionaire would, as a person who knows with certainty they will be a millionaire would move. And in the same way, you cannot, because the scale went down today or up tomorrow or what have you, move in accordance accordance to what the scale is telling you. You have to move in accordance to what you know you're becoming with certainty, and you get to decide who you become. You see what I mean? And I decided one day I am going to be skinny. I am going to be in my dream body. And here I am, okay? 26 pounds lighter. 26 pounds happier. And you know what? I just envisioned and when I look in the mirror, I knew it was possible for me, and I had to convince myself, and it took a lot of convincing. It took a lot of work. A lot of the work that I teach in Manifest Magic. I actually did Manifest Magic, by the way, before I did the weight loss journey, and it really helped me. My own program, kind of crazy, but my point is that it is possible for you. If you want it, it's yours. You only desire something because there exists a future version of you that already has it, obviously, if we're talking in a healthy sense, right? And so step number 1 is remember who the fuck you are and remember the power you have, that regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what body you're born into or you currently are in, you get to choose where you're going. And that is a certainty because you're the creator of your reality, period. And when you know it's possible, you're going to do what you have to do to make it happen. And that's going to vary for everyone. But again, I think the biggest thing for me was obviously just like being conscious of what I'm consuming and not overeating, right? Not having that scarcity mindset around food. The second I feel full at the table, I say, yes, this might look like I'm wasting money, but I'm actually gaining in my weight loss journey when I don't overeat. You see what I mean? And so removing the scarcity mindset from food. And then finally, like making it fun, romanticizing it. You're not going to do something that feels difficult. You're just not, right? And so I started to do the 10K steps with my friends, call people, make a tradition out of it. Every day I'd call, the same friend, and we're talking, and we're both on our 10K step walk, or I'd go to the same place, and it was always so fun to go to that place. And you make it fun, right? You make it fun. You make the time for it because you love yourself. And does that mean maybe you have to, sacrifice other things? Sure. But when you love yourself, you sacrifice for love. And that is the law of love, is it's always worth the sacrifice. And when you love yourself, you're willing to make the time and you're willing to make the effort to make it happen. And you trust in the journey. I knew it would take time. It happened fast, frankly, but it also did obviously take time. But I also knew that I was willing to give it as much time as it needed. And I'm actually glad that I did that because, sometimes when you lose weight way too fast, that comes with a host of problems as well. So I just trusted that the universe would show me the way to get there. And that was actually, I remember so clearly, this was the moment where I was like, it all clicked and it all happened for me. I did my I am simply deciding method, which is my method where you say, I am simply deciding this is happening. I am simply deciding I'm losing 10 pounds and that is happening. I'm simply deciding I'm getting to X weight. And I simply decided, and I let go of the control of how it would happen, and I let the universe show me how. And one of the things that happened was my friend Lizzie was like, we should start going on walks together and getting 10K steps. Boom, the universe showed me how. Suddenly, I started feeling called to go to Europe, even though I literally thought I'd gain weight in Europe because I was like, shit, I'm going to be eating gelato and pizza. That's not good. And little did I know, I trusted the universe. I said, I'm meant to be there for a reason. And I lost a ton of weight in Europe. And so releasing control, and which by the way is hypermasculinity, constantly needing to be in control of how things are going to happen. And instead tapping into feminine energy and trusting and releasing, all that like holding on for dear life and just breathing and allowing. I have so much more I could say on this topic, but I'm gonna leave it here. I think if you guys have any questions or if you guys want a part 2, let me know down below. I wanted to be real with you guys and I wanted to be honest because this is and was one of the hardest journeys that I had ever been on. And I'm obviously oversimplifying it in this video. It was so insanely hard in the beginning for me. I was crying. I hated myself. It was really, 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 really hard. And I tried so many things that were not working. And I thought I was doomed. I thought I was destined for failure. And I had to completely switch my mindset to get to where I am today. And it was a purely mindset journey. So I have a lot more I could say. So let me know if you guys want a part 2. And yeah, don't forget to grab my Manifest Magic workshop down below. Use code podcast for a promo. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.